By now, investigators suspect they are looking for a body.
We had people at the courthouse and the sheriff's office, a number of people coming in who don't know if they could help or anything they might do. And we put flyers out everywhere with his picture and all with a reward on it. But we got no response.
Henry Eford stays on the case 24 hours a day. He spends his nights searching for his son and tracking down old snitches, hoping that they might have some inside knowledge into Tyson's disappearance. But the kidnapping remains a mystery, and another day passes without a shred of evidence.
We had hundreds and hundreds of people looking. One of the biggest manhunts that's ever occurred in Hot Spring County. And then we can't turn up nothing. I mean, nothing.
Desperate for answers, the Efords ask Carol Pate to come to Malvern one more time. They bring her to the parking lot where Tyson was last seen alive.
I wanted to feel the trauma of the energy of abduction, to get a better feel on the person that abducted him. When he took him, Tyson was traumatized. He was scared. And that leaves a strong residue of energy. And it helps me to then follow that trail of energy.
Henry and Anita Eford can only watch as the psychic describes their son's terrifying experience.
This all happened very, very quickly. He was hit in the head. He was dragged. He was put in the vehicle, blindfolded.
I was able then to get a feel of the abductor as to which way he went, plus a trail of the energy.
But then, Carol is struck with images that do not make sense to her.
The word ridge suddenly popped into my head.
Okay.
There's ridge. What's ridge?
She kept asking me about a ridge. And I thought she was talking about a hill or a mountain or something. And then she said, no, I said, is there a road named Ridge? And I said, yes, there's a Ridge Road.
That's where they got it. That's where they got it, Ridge Road.
They immediately head towards Ridge Road, hoping that Carol's vision will lead them to Tyson or his kidnappers. But partway down the road, the psychic trail goes cold.
I've lost it.
All of a sudden, I just went blank. I was blank. It's kind of like being a bloodhound, and you're on the scent, and you're going, and all of a sudden, there's water. No more scent.
Another dead end, and a fifth day passes. The Efords cling to a shred of hope.
There is no such thing as a perfect crime. There is some evidence somewhere, and you just got to find it.
Then, 5 days after Tyson goes missing, Sheriff Doyle Cook finally gets a break.
What did you see out there?
The caller on the other line tells Cook that he'd seen two suspicious-looking men in a pickup truck driving off Ridge Road the night before. There was a teenage boy sitting between them. Cook races to Ridge Road, desperately searching for a clue, but finds no sign of Tyson. He vows to come back the next morning with a search team, but that will never happen. The Efords are about to get a phone call that will bring the case to a shocking end. 17-year-old Tyson Eford is abducted from a parking lot in Malvern, Arkansas. Investigators know that there is only a slim chance of finding him alive. But late one night, 5 days after his disappearance, the sheriff's department gets a call. Tyson Eford is alive, and he's coming home.
I happened to be home that morning. I'd went about as long as I could go without sleep. So a dispatcher called me and said that Tyson's at the hospital. He's been released. And the first thing I asked how he is, and he said, well, he's going to be all right.
But what had happened? Who had taken him? And how had he managed to escape? Tyson Eford lived to tell his own story.
I was working at Food Center, and I was approached by this man wearing camouflage. And he told me that his buddy has hit my truck. We might need to go out and look at it. We went out there, and I bent down and looked at it. He was standing behind me. He grabbed me around the throat, held a knife to my throat, and dragged me across the parking lot.
The man shoves Tyson into his pickup truck, where a second man waits behind the wheel. With Tyson as their captive, the two men speed out of the lot.
I noticed that the abductor that took me from the store was wearing camouflage and a belt buckle. And I kept looking at that belt buckle to see, distinctive things that I could remember if I, could get away.
This police video shows the house where Tyson was held captive. It's just a few miles from family and friends, but impossible to escape. Held at gunpoint, Tyson took note of everything around him, including a letter addressed to a Carl Meany on Ridge Road. For the entire week, Tyson was subjected to emotional and physical torture at the hands of his captors.
Carl Meany pulled out a pistol, and I don't know if you, let's see if I can explain this. Russian roulette. What that is you put one bullet in a chamber and you spin it. And you put it to someone's head, and you click the trigger. You click like you're going to shoot them. Well, he did that 3 times. So I started crying. I was scared to death. I thought I was going to die.
And things may have ended that way had Tyson not outsmarted his captors.
I convinced him. I lied to him, to get out. I basically was trying to be his friend, trying to, convince him, look, I promise I will not say nothing. Just please let me go. You would do anything and say anything to get out of what that I was in. And I took off. I started running as fast as I could. I went on and I ran to the first house that I knew that they would probably answer the door.
It was the most remarkable thing, I guess. I guess that's the word for it. There's really no words to describe how relieved I was that he was back.
After Tyson is reunited with his parents, he leads investigators back to the house on Ridge Road. When Carl Meany answers the door, police take him into custody. 1 day later, investigators track down Meany's accomplice. They are charged with rape and kidnapping. Detectives interrogate the suspects, searching for a motive. They learn that Tyson was a random target of a sexually motivated crime. After pleading guilty, the man who took Tyson from the parking lot is sentenced to 10 years. But Carl Meany stands trial.
To have to look at him was real hard. But I knew what I had to do was put this man away for good.
And he does. Carl Meany is found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Only after Tyson is found do Henry and Anita Eford reflect on their meetings with the psychic and the startling accuracy of her visions. From the fact that Tyson was alive to the description of the house where he'd been held.
She had carried us the way that he went. She'd put me within a half a mile of the house. She talked about a belt buckle that one of the boys wore. She talked about the Russian roulette that they played. And there were just numerous of things that she had talked about. Of course, at that time, we didn't know it was true. Then after the case developed, all of this was true. It really made you, well, how you put it, cold chills run up down your back.
It's like some cases that I work on, I don't get that much. It's almost like it should be somebody else's case. And other cases, I get all this detail, and it blows me away. I don't know why. Why all this detail on this case and not on this case, and why does this case resolve and this one doesn't? And I think it's all in the timing. I think everything happens for a reason.